Hello, I am Sean MacCath-Moran. I am setting up the theme and website that I'm contributing to GovCMS, and this is a walkthrough for the internal technical folks on how to do that. I've penciled out all of the steps for this in the readme.md file that is in this, and I'm sure we will have this in a repository shortly to pull this down for use. I will be using some shortcuts on the command line as I do this. I've got various aliases set up behind the scenes, but none of those obviously are in here except for I will be referencing a bash function that I've included in the README file, and I'll discuss that when we get there. The prerequisites for setting this up aren't going to surprise anyone who's used to Drupal and its stack. The NPM Manager and Node.js are obviously for setting up the compilation of the Sass within the theme. And yeah, there we go. So I'm going to start by nuking my existing database, which I just called GovCMS, and deleting the vendor folder so that this is more or less as though I have just checked this out from the repository. And from there, I will run composer install. Should be no surprises in composer install. This is essentially all from the Drupal repository with the occasional supporting library and a metric whack of patches, because patches are our life in the Drupal community. All right. We could go to the front end at this point and see that we have the normal Drupal installation here. I could go through the front end installation here and choose the minimal profile, but I find that running that process from the command line tends to be a little faster. So I'm going to do that here for now. There we go. All I'm doing is setting the site name to GovCMS, setting the account name to admin, and using the minimal installation. The reason I'm using the minimal installation is because if you try to install from the existing site YAML files, either through the back end or through the front end GUI, it tends to take more than an hour for it to run for some reason. If you instead just do a minimal installation and then do the configuration import and then fix the UUID, which I'll be walking through in just a moment, that goes much faster. So with that in mind, I'm now going to actually use that sync UUID command I talked about. What's going on here is that because we just did a database installation, it's picked out a brand new UUID for the site, which is not reflected in the site UUID set in the configuration files. So I go through the README file and walk through step by step how to get that UUID from the database and stick it into the appropriate config file. And I also, as I mentioned, provide a bash function that will do that for you automatically, which is what I'm doing here. Choose your poison, go to town. I'm clearing caches, doing a configuration import, clearing caches, and doing a configuration import again. The reason for that is because there is a config split in this site for using different modules and configuration elements in dev, stage, production. So the first configuration import includes setting up the configuration split module, and the second one actually imports those configuration split differences. And I just do it a third time because I'm being anal. And finally, I do a Drush ULI to give us a login to the site. This bit takes about minute and a half, 2 minutes. So wait for that to finish. Suppose while that's running, I can mention. Is there anything else here to mention? Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the theme hierarchy while that's running. So there's a USWDS base theme that's from Drupal, that is the senior-most theme that's being used for the public-facing theme. We then have a USWDS extend theme that has all of the support for the paragraphs and other bits of functionality that are included with this. And then the USWDS extend custom theme, which is blank, but inherits from USWDS extend, which of course inherits from USWDS base. The assumption baked in right now is that when you do your CSS compilation, you're doing it within the extend custom theme, which pulls down from the extend theme and the USWDS base theme. The thinking on this is that if you have multiple websites that are running this stack as your basic setup, it makes it very easy to add items to the USWDS extend theme that you can have on site A, B, and C, and things that you only want on site A in the custom theme. Also, if it should come to pass and we need to give updates out to the community, this makes sense to have the USWDS extend theme separate from the theme that's being worked on an individual site so that we can provide updates gracefully. I'm not sure how the workflow is actually going to manifest in the community as we provide this, but we have some flexibility on how things progress by using this approach. See that we completed the initial configuration import and then ran it again, and now we have additional items that are coming in specifically because of the config split. Obviously, I have this set to the development environment, hence the views, UI, devel, etc. being turned on. And you can see that the configuration succeeded. We did a cache clear and then did another configuration import, and there's nothing else left to import, which is what we wanted to see, followed by address ULI. So now we go from the base Drupal installation with nothing in it to our base Drupal installation with this theme set up. There is in this code base a custom content module that I'm not going to be enabling right now, but I'll be demonstrating in a separate video for demonstration at conventions and the like. And that let's go with, what is the name of that? GovCMS. I called it GovCMS, sample content. All right. There we go. So for your own purposes, I'm not sure if what we have in the GovCMS system, if we wanted to have the sample content already enabled and ready to go, but if you were to install this module, it will blow through and install a metric whack of sample items, and it will populate the front page here with all kinds of other content. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, you've seen the other video where I actually walk through that, and I'll leave it to you to pursue that however you wish. That is the end of that. All right.